Three, two, one.
Glowing Up Latina, Season 1, Episode 17.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Glowing Up Latina.
Hi. Hey, guys.
I'm Christina.
And I'm Amanda.
Amanda, how have you been? How's everything going? I'm finally back in New York and I'm very ready to see you guys.
I know. I'm so happy you're back. It was a little weird not having you, but we know that you have to go see familia. You know, that's important to always visit and have that time, family time, quality family time. But my week was fine. Okay. We had some hiccups along the way with the bachelorette party. So we're going to do a catamaran one of the days we're out there. And I purchased the tickets, but one of my friends, I guess the company or the travel excursion company reached out to her and was like, you could probably pay less and get more. So I was like,
we love to pay less and get
that's
more.
Fine, let's pay less and get more. So anyways, well, that got fixed, and thank you to my friend for taking care of that. I appreciate it, because any little help that I can get right now is much greatly appreciated with planning.
I know we were all very thankful, because I don't know how we were going to survive on what was it, like fruits?
It was fruits and nuts, and we who's surviving off of fruits and nuts while drinking on this boat? Like, who's doing? I don't know. Like, how's that even happening? We would have come off that boat very, I don't know, not together
at like 9 o'clock in the morning too.
So yeah. But other than that, I think everything it was an okay week. Looking forward to the weeks ahead, because that's it. We're like 2 weeks away from going away, so I'm looking forward to that.
We are 2 weeks away. I need to practice packing. I need to make sure I have everything.
I know I need to do that. I said I would do that today, but that wasn't that. Yeah, no, I didn't do that
today.
Yeah,
not one thing.
I don't want to do anything today. And then right before this, I started cleaning my apartment.
I don't, for whatever reason, I was like, let me unpack right now, knowing that I had to do this in like 15 minutes. I was like, that was dumb. Why did I do that?
Yeah. So now I have the mop and the bucket in the living room waiting for me to finish mopping. I did not plan this out well.
No.
But it's okay. It's all right. It's okay. You know, we'll start off the week clean, fresh, floors, the apartment smells clean. So it's all good. I think that's a good way for me to start my week.
My week has been fine. Also, it was chill. I did work. I hung out with my brother. I got to see my other brother and his wife. That was fun. And then, I came back. I'm back here now. I got in at 1 o'clock in the morning. I got to my apartment at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God.
As I don't know if anybody has been paying attention or knows or has noticed, but the stuff with the airlines has been so crazy lately. My flight to get into Texas was ridiculous. It was canceled several times. Then my flight here was delayed a bunch. Actually, no, let me take that back. It was not delayed a bunch. It was delayed twice. And compared to the situation when I was trying to come into Texas, it was a breeze. Loved it. Didn't really mind it too much.
Why? How far back did it get delayed?
So I was supposed to leave at 5:30 and I didn't leave till 7. I was supposed to get in at 10:30. I got in a little bit before midnight, I think. And then, it took me a minute to get a taxi. It took me a minute to get my bag. But, it was fine. I made it. In one piece. And the delay, honestly, compared to what I had to deal with when I was trying to go to Texas, I would much rather what just happened.
Texas, so that sounds like a nightmare. Fingers crossed for in 2 weeks, because man.
Oh my gosh. I was literally talking to my mom about that today. I was like, I hope everything goes okay.
Because I will.
But I think it will. It should be. It'll be fine. We'll be okay.
I will need to be.
And if not, we'll just drink in the airport.
I was going to say I need to be sedated. Someone, just please, because I don't think I will ever come back from that.
Oh my God. We'll see how it goes. Y'all pray for us.
Yes, please.
Okay, so we are actually really excited for this episode today. And I know Liana isn't here. Y'all haven't heard her voice. She's not missing. Her and Amanda are actually interviewing our first guest.
Yay! Round of applause.
We're very excited. And our first guest is one of my best friends. Her name is Chantal. Love her very much. An angel.
She really is. She really is. And I say this at the end of the interview, like, she's just a beautiful soul, bright. She's very easygoing, easy to talk to. And I wish I had like just her personality to be calm all the time. Just not think so much into a lot of things. She's just so laid back. I'm like, from like the way she looks and she sounds, it's just like a fresher breath of air. That's what I just want to say. Like, she's just so cool.
She is a breath of fresh air. Chantal is actually one of my best friends from law school. She was in my very close law school friend group. So love her very much. I will say that one of my favorite things about Chantal is that she so easily like can take a situation and be like, hey, but did you look at it this way? Like, maybe this way things will be okay. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe they will. Because she was always the person in law school who would come up to me and be like, hey, like, relax your shoulders, like, unclench your jaw, like, let go. She was actually one of the first people to point out. I never realized that I used to like, my hands would be clenched.
Like in a fist, yeah.
Yeah. And she used to just be like, let go. Like, it's okay. Like, you'll be fine. So love that. I love her for that because honestly, like, she really took care of me in law school. And we all did that. This group of friends that she is from, like, I love them very much. We all took very good care of each other in law school, and I don't think I could have like made it through law school without them.
No, they're good. They're good. We've met them once or twice before, and they are. You guys are a good group of friends, and it's great that you guys check in on each other, especially when you're in law school, because like, I don't think I could have done that, but to have a good group of friends where you guys can relate to what's going on and checking on each other and just be there and be a good support team, that's great. That's fantastic. Law school ain't easy.
No, it was actually the worst time of my life. That's fine. Chantal will actually be here to give us a little queer history Latinx edition. She's going to give you guys some recommendations on like things to watch, read, and she's going to give her experience as a queer Latinx person in New York City. So I hope you guys learned something, and I hope you guys enjoy the interview because I have already watched it and it is great. Amanda and Liana did a fantastic job.
Yay.
And I hope you guys love Chantal as much as I do. She is one of the greatest people that I know. So without further ado, here's our first interview and our first guest of Glowing Up Latina.
As we know, June is Pride Month, and we're very excited to have our first guest, and we want to introduce y'all to Chantal. Chantal, take it away. We're so excited. Introduce yourself to the audience.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Chantal Mota. A little bit about me, context. I am Dominican and Italian. Born and raised in Manhattan, 26, and a lawyer. That's all you need to know.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
For context, for this episode focusing on Pride, I do identify as a non-binary lesbian. So there we go.
All right. Okay.
So today, I thought we'd start off a little bit of history. I do want to start by saying that LGBT history is such a big topic, right? And like, the queer experience has been going on globally forever. So I think I just want to make certain that everyone knows that everything I'm going to talk about is very much from my personal experience and from the very narrow point of view of like, I am Latina, a millennial experiencing queerness in America and specifically New York.
Right.
Like, it's very narrow. So history wise, I thought I'd only talk about 3 people to keep it simple. they do cover different parts of the experience, and they are all Latinx. So the first person I want to talk about is Sylvia Rivera. She was Puerto Rican and Venezuelan and a trans woman. She was one of the leaders that were at the 1969 Stonewall riot, and she became known as the mother of the movement. And, you know, one of the people that shows that the beginnings of this movement in America were very much started by Black and Brown people. She started an organization that still stands today called Starz that supports queer youth, specifically homeless youth and sex workers. The next person I want to talk about is Gloria Evangelina Anzaldúa. Okay, she's a Chicana, poet, author, activist. And I know Christina isn't here today, but I thought she'd, appreciate that Gloria is also from Texas. And again, she's an academic, and she just wrote several books that I think are canon, not only in for queer people, but for feminists as well. The first one you've probably heard of, she co-edited This Bridge Called My Back, Writings by Radical Women of Color. Moment of Silence. Again, if you have not read that, it's, I think, a canon piece for feminism in America, especially as a Latina woman. The other book that she wrote herself is called Borderlands, La Frontera, The New Mestiza. And that book is not so much queer as it is Chicano, Latinx, and American. A lot of her theory centers around the intersection of all of those identities. And, I appreciate her as someone who is an openly lesbian woman who talks about queerness. I think in Latino culture specifically, we see a lot of gay men and masculine gay men. Being queer in a woman becomes very hard to experience or even relate to family, I think, in Latino cultures, because it begins to question not only our identity, but our worth as a woman.
Right.
I talk about this with my mom a lot, about how she's experienced, even as a straight woman, that her worth is very much connected to how she serves men, how she serves the household as a woman, even just procreating.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's something that comes into question when you start to identify as non-binary or as a lesbian. Even if you don't dispel all of those truths as a woman, it definitely starts to question your worth in that sense.
Right. And especially in our culture, like you were saying, we're groomed from a very young age that, we have to learn how to cook, how to serve your guy. My mom always tells me, and this is no shame at all, but she's always telling me love comes from the kitchen, your man is always going to love you if you make him a nice home cooked meal. And it's yeah, but I'm going to love him if he makes me a home cooked meal too, so it goes,
exactly.
Goes both ways.
So it's I understand where that comes from. It's just
again, everything is a choice. It's still feminist to make those choices for yourself. But just acknowledging that when you choose to dispel those things as a woman in Latino culture, it's definitely difficult.
Right.
And I think that makes it hard for a lot of Latinx women to come out, even to themselves. They start to question their own worth. Just as a side note, I was literally talking about this to my mom, and my grandmother removed her cervix for health reasons. And after she did, literally stopped having sex and stopped sleeping with her husband at night and allowed him to see other women, because she felt that her worth as a woman and as a wife was no longer there.
Right.
I could definitely see how that's a thing, especially in an older generation in the Latino community, where it's they feel it's I'm damaged goods. I'm no longer useful. I have no use in this world because I don't have a cervix. I'm not even a woman anymore. I can't do what I was supposed to be put on this earth to do. And it's just No, we are worth way more than that. And I'm put on this earth to do way more than just have kids.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it's great to, again, like, my sexuality is different, but it's powerful for any woman in our culture to choose to put our sexuality first, in a lot of ways. And the last person I want to talk about, again, in this context of history and important Latinx figures within queer culture, is Angie Extravaganza. Just talking about this woman, my heart flutters. Like, please look her up and just look at her. It's so beautiful. So she founded the House of Extravaganza in New York. That is a house that was, covered in the documentary Paris is Burning, if you guys heard of it. And then it became the inspiration for the show Pose. If you guys have seen that.
I've heard of it,
really?
yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So all of that is based on true stories and a real house that existed. And when I say house, I'm talking about the ballroom scene. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
I know the show, but I haven't seen it yet. But just to give the audience like a little bit like context of the show, that way they
the
audience and Liana
and Amanda obviously.
No, that's why we're here. This is like really interesting because to me it's like, I know the ballroom. So step back, not even about the show, you can dispel the show, but the ballroom scene is kind of a cornerstone of the queer community, especially in the 70s and 80s in the city. It's kind of just like gatherings for drag performances and competitions, and these competitions and these events were head by these houses of women that were each trans women, that were each head by a house mother. And again, very important for the community. And I'll get more into it as I explain who Angie was. But Extravaganza became the Latina house within the ballroom culture in New York City. Again, within the community, there's also discrimination, and they were Latina centric, So it was a big deal. She was Puerto Rican from the South Bronx, and she started performing drag and participating in ball as early as 16 years old, and died at a young age as well, at 28 years old. Most people say it was from AIDS complications, but it could also be, some people say, from like black market hormones. And it's a tragedy overall, which is why her story is so important. It's a tragedy that unfortunately a lot of trans youth were susceptible to during that time. And ballroom culture was at the center of the community, like I've said, but this concept of the house mother, they became these figures for trans youth to protect them. They would take them in and become like a mother to these young trans people who were kicked out of their homes as early as 15, 16, 17 years old, and protected them from the streets, from discrimination, quite literally murder, And I think it's a beautiful concept to think of right now, because I feel like trans youth are again being attacked. We think that this is something that's from the past, but it's very tragic and dark. I even get emotional thinking of it, that there are these beautiful, extravagant, free young people,
right,
that are just being attacked by the government, their communities, and even their own families. And I think we're all like being called to protect them right now. Yeah, look into Extravaganza, watch Pose if you haven't, watch Paris is Burning if you haven't. But again, trans people are worthy of our protection. It's a very simple concept, but an important one right now.
People should be whoever they feel they need to be, like in this world, like regardless of anything else, really.
Yes.
You know, like there should be nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. No, not at all. Yeah.
It's actually something so beautiful when you think about it. It makes the tragedy even darker, you know, that it's like those kind of very beautiful, free people that have had to like face this kind of darkness, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think like what you just said is kind of like the undercurrent of this like entire convo, like of what pride is, you know. So those are my 3 little cornerstones of queer history, at least
I love
in New York, America.
Yes.
Hope they each shed some light on the culture. I think our next little segment that Christina suggested I talk about is some queer content, I guess. Some things I can put you on.
Yes.
If that's the right way of saying it, you know. The first one, very near and dear to my heart, is called La Veneno. And it's in Spanish, but it's set in Spain. So not necessarily Latino, but I think the Spanish speaking and parts of the culture are still very much relatable to us. La Veneno was this extremely famous trans woman. She was like an entertainer, sex worker, performer, actress, whatever. Became like huge in media in Spain, like around, I want to say the 70s, 60s. It's a biopic. There's like a short series on her, and it's a biopic of her life, but also through the lens of this young trans woman named Valeria, who wants to write a book on her story. So I just think it's interesting. It's a conversation between like older and younger trans people, but I think it's also like so humanizing. I think my mom used to tell me that, at least in New York, the only relation she had to trans women in her head were like, those were sex workers that like would walk around downtown in the piers. Like that's what they were.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think even still, those kind of like thoughts can be related to trans women, unfortunately. And so I think, you know, that was La Venena's truth, but it follows her story and humanizes it and explains why she ended up where she ended up. And she was just definitely a force of nature. And I think it's a humanizing story. I think it's beautiful. And the soundtrack is amazing. It's just really good. So
is it a movie or is it like a show?
Like a short series.
Okay.
Like kind of HBO vibes, you know, like
got it. Series. Where can we find it?
I watched it on Starz.
Okay.
And it's still there, I think. So the next one, I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's called Vida.
Yes.
Oh,
I've heard of it. Yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I have not watched it though, so
yeah. It's on HBO, I think. I think it's hard to find. Fortunately, all of these are always like hard to find, which is like a thing. But Vida is about like these 2 sisters, they're Chicana, and they go back to Boyle Heights in LA.
Now it's clicking in my head. Yes. Now I know.
Yeah.
Yes. So now I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Exactly. So dope. Oh my gosh. So they inherit this like bar from their mother who passed away. And they find out that one of them is queer, by the way. One of the sisters is like lesbian, bi. They find out that their mother was also queer and was running this bar as like a queer safe haven, which was very interesting, you know, because one of the sister like kind of had her own trauma and tension with her mother and didn't know that she was queer. And then there's also like, I don't know if you guys watch Hentified. It kind of has those Hentified vibes.
Yes, yeah. I've seen Hentified.
It has those vibes because, you know, they're also coming as outsiders and as the new owners of this bar.
Right.
And like, they're very much ready to like sell it to corporate America and like make condos.
Right.
Gotcha.
You know, and so it also has that kind of conversation. It's like definitely the intersection of queer and Latinidad in America. Like, wraps it up perfectly. Like it's so good.
I remember watching the trailer for that show and I was just like, dang, I wish I had whichever it was on.
I was just about to say, I'm like, I need to subscribe to Starz because I need to get on it.
Yeah, I remember it was so hard, and then like it was like years, and then I was like, you know what, I have to hunker down and just do this. I need to figure out who am I gonna loan from like who am I gonna get a passcode from to watch this. Like,
give me your login.
Right.
I might send y'all my login because now I must have it. Oh, and Melissa Barrera, she's like the main character in Lin-Manuel Miranda's The Heights. Have you seen that?
Oh, I've heard of that show as well.
Yeah. But anyway, there's like some big names in it, if people care. And then I just have like 2 books that are really good. I don't know if there are readers in the house.
So we've gotten some people that are just like, we need more books.
More
and I'm just
books.
Like,
give us more books.
We're gonna give you the books, so we don't have them.
I so feel that. One is, this is a general book. It's not even like necessarily queer, but the writer, Paola Ramos, is queer. And she's Mexican, Cuban, Spanish American. And the book is Finding Latinx. Have you guys heard of that?
I've heard of it, yeah.
No, but now I will go ahead and buy my book. I will.
Yes. Finding Latinx. She goes through, I love it because like, even if you don't agree with it, with all of it or whatever, you will definitely learn a lot because she goes through the entire history from its origin of the word Latinx and why people are using it. You know, and I just love it because I think when people started using Latinx, it created a lot of controversy in the community.
Oh, yes, it did.
Right?
Because like even like nowadays when you're saying like mijos or like mijas or whatever, like when you're, even if you're like pluralizing,
yeah, polar,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm making it a word now.
Yeah.
Like when you say like Latinos or whatever, like in the back of your mind, you're like including everybody. But like for people who
don't identify
exactly
with gender roles,
with the masculine,
right?
Exactly.
With the gender role, right? They want it, right? They have every right and deserve to be still approached and as, you know, Latinx. So yeah, it did create again confusion. However, we are in a world where we have to be a part of include everyone, inclusivity. That's what we're trying to do.
And the thing is that we also have to learn that language is adaptable. You know, it's not just like black and white like everyone thinks, you know, it adapts to the world around us, you know. So if there are people who don't identify with us or us, you know, we need to come up with a word that is all inclusive of like everybody. So I think people, I mean, at first I didn't, and I'm non-binary, and I didn't even really realize what the word was for. I didn't know, I didn't really have a relationship with the word. I was confused, and I didn't even really understand the contention with it. But she goes into why there's so much pushback, and then why it's so inclusive, even for like outside of gender. Like it's inclusive of a lot of things, right? Like, because Latino is also like a very large, like encompassing word.
Yeah.
But yeah, and she's a openly gay author, so that's awesome. And then the last book, I haven't read this, disclaimer, but it's one of those like things that everyone's talking about it. Like everyone I know is like, I totally cried reading this, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, it's called Gentrification of the Mind, Witness to a Lost Imagination by Sarah Schulman. It talks about the AIDS epidemic as an American experience that has kind of been, you know, forgotten and replaced. And mainly because it was a tragedy experienced by minorities, by poor Black and brown people, and how that like didn't serve, and like remembering them doesn't serve capitalism. You know what I mean? Like it's very complicated, but it's a very interesting synopsis of what happened in America during that time and how they're kind of being erased, you know? So I definitely, that's on the reading list for the readers that are down for something a little more challenging. I think that concludes what I'm putting you on for today. I also like thought I'd end talking about just in general what pride is to me. Just like my personal experience, you know, pride to me will always be something political. It would always be a radical movement, right? I talked about Stonewall. It was the beginning of gay liberation. So to me, it will always be a radical movement for political action, period.
Yeah.
And a very personal note, it's very much about just freedom. To be queer, to me, is something so beautiful where you can just dispel of all the obligations, all of the boxes that are imposed onto you by the matriarchy and the patriarchy, which is something that can like be celebrated even if you aren't out, right? Even in the privacy of your own home, to engage in this like kind of identity is so liberating. Like you said, to like experience the feeling of I know who I am and I'm going to be that.
Yeah.
It's so radical. If you are out, to then say, I'm going to be seen in that, is so amazing. You know, like during Pride Month, I am so annoying. Like I am
what?
like,
why would you say that? No, this is not like, again, this is not like to say like Pride Month or June is the only time to express and, you know, voice how important it is, you know, speak out on the LGBTQ community. No, it's like, I mean, this is the highlight moment, but it's everywhere. It's every day, you know, LGBTQ is everywhere. So listen, if you call it annoying, I won't call it annoying. I'm just gonna say, keep doing you, mija. Like, keep doing it. Like, you know?
Keep doing what you want to do. Listen, like Amanda said, this is like the highlight month. But like, this should highlight month. This should be like an everyday thing, just like it is for everything that's celebrated throughout the year. Because like it doesn't end on June 30th, 31st.
Yeah, we're like, how many days in June? 31 days.
There's 31 days?
For the record,
in June? Regardless, whenever June ends, like it shouldn't end on that point. It should always continue on, you know? And you know what I find annoying? When companies are always taking advantage of like moments like this and like changing their little logos to like be the pride thing and everything. I'm just like, you are taking advantage, and that is not fair.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. That's so it's so pertinent. And the thing is, like, what drives me wild is that none of them get it. Like, I've seen a lot of ads that are like, oh, top and bottom, like gay and feminine. Like, it's like none of y'all really get what
it means.
Like, like, which is that, like, it's an identity where you dispel of like all of those roles and stuff and like all of those boxes. So like, stop. And so that's what it is to me. I thought also, just to explain, because I think this is something that is like particular to, again, the Latino community. I identify as she, they, right? I've been saying that I'm non-binary, and I think that's something that's like a little confusing to people. So I kind of wanted to talk about it because it's, again, what like part of my own pride story. I am non-binary, but I use she, they because I use, like, I perform femininity. I have a connection to femininity. But I'm in a place now where I engage with femininity in a way that's no longer an obligation and no longer something imposed on me. So it's now something that is fun almost, and like this cool, fun thing that I can engage with and play with, and that I still identify with, but again, not in that way. And I have this little question for y'all now, a little prompt for y'all, because
I'm excited.
along that note, I did a Pride event recently, and it was called Gender Discard. So the prompt was like to bring anything physical or metaphorical, that represented a part of gender that you're done with, right? And so for me, I like was in a ponytail and I got rid of my little hair tie. And I was like, you know, I grew up with super long hair.
Same.
And my Italian grandma was always like, a woman's hair is her crown. And my mother was a fucking like beauty pageant queen growing up. So all these things of like femininity and presentation were put on me so strictly from a young age. I had hair down to my knees and I hated it all. Like, as I grew older, I rejected it. I chopped my hair off and I like just completely like avoided it.
Right.
But now, like, I think you could tell, like, I wear my hair long again. And like I said, like, I'm like reconnecting with femininity in a way that's just like not imposed and I can play with it. It's something that like I can wear in a way that's androgynous, in a way that's masculine, even in a way that's in between, you know? So yeah, if you guys were there and you could like bring something or say something that you want to get rid of in terms of gender or sexuality, what would it be?
When she said that, the first thing that came to mind was like hair for me, like, but like body hair, like shaving the legs, shaving my armpits, waxing, like, like, so today I knew I was going into the office. I knew I was going to show my legs. I knew I was going to show my arms. And I was like, I have to shave. I look like a werewolf. Like I need to get rid of everything. And so I did that. And it's so crazy to me how like we care so much about these little things, like even like the peach fuzz, like on your upper lip. It's just insane.
I'm gonna piggyback on that when she's done. Okay. Yeah.
It's just crazy. Like we need to be like naked mole rats to be like this, like silky, smooth kind of. I wish that I wish hair was normalized, because then I feel like I wouldn't care as much about going out and working out with like my armpits hairy as hell and like, you know what I mean? That would be like the one thing that I would like wish I could like just take off.
Yeah. It's really beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah,
like I get that that's like a struggle, like, and it's hard. It's very hard to combat. Like I've like for a long time it became very easy to me because I started dating and having sex with women, and so there was kind of like a visibility there and an understanding there, and I felt more comfortable. But it was really only until then that I felt more comfortable. And then outside of relationships, it's still very hard for me. And again, I'm someone who is so ready to do it. But you know, going to the beach event, going to work, like it's so hard. But I'm telling you, if you try like one day to go to the beach unshaved, try it one day, it will literally change your life. It will change your life. It's insane.
I will start with my
legs. I don't think you understand how hairy I am.
I got Liana and I are I think we grew up, we were some hairy babies. Like we came out the womb just hair, a fur ball. Like like I still have the hair on my cheeks. Maybe cheeks. My bigote, my mustache, you know, that has to get fixed once in a while. I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now, this is, you know, it's funny, Chantal, that you did. Well, not that it's funny, but like the irony in it. Like right before we started recording, I looked at myself in the mirror and I was just like, I have to do my eyebrows. But then I was like, when was the last time I even did my eyebrows? Like go professionally to get it done. It's been like pre-COVID, and COVID was just like, I didn't care. So now so I'm one step ahead of Liana in that sense. And I'm already starting to go by what you had mentioned. And so right now it's the eyebrows.
I feel that so heavy. Oh my gosh, you guys are so funny. But listen, maybe even if it's not permanent, maybe like for Lent, just stop. You know,
That's 40
I know
days,
that
girl.
Yeah, it's gonna get hairy. It's gonna get thick. And so what, like, literally to like experience the feeling of like I'm hairy and I'm still a woman and I'm still beautiful. Like,
yeah,
it's literally just there. And I can still have great sex and I can still be attractive. You know, like,
can we give Chantal a round of applause?
right. Like
round of applause. Yes, I love it. I'm here for it.
I'm gonna have her in the back of my head whenever I'm shaving. I'm gonna be like, I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
I don't. Who am I doing this for?
Yeah, Chantal said, right? Like, we're good to go, Leon. Like, no, Chantal said I didn't have to do this today. I'm not doing it.
After DR though, because I can't.
Right.
Cannot.
Oh, wait. DR, they're different for sure. But no, and again, like, still do it. Like, it's still a ritual for me. Like, every now and then, of course, like, it's a preference thing or whatever. Like, but just obviously, like, it's loaded, right? Like, we know it's loaded. But yeah. Amanda, how about you?
Yeah.
Is it the same?
It's going to be the same. Yeah, it's going to be the same as Liana. The hair, the appearance, like, that comes out first. That has to be like one of the things that you like, at least I noticed growing up and trying to like look like Liana said, like soft and delicate. It was just like the hair was always there. And I try to make sure that I didn't have hair, but
that's so real. A lot of these rules kind of like start to govern like what we think is beautiful about ourselves, who we are. But yeah, thanks guys. That's like really dope. Yeah, both of those things also being like very Latina at its roots. But yeah, I think that's all for now in terms of like what I had for us to talk about. Again, I think like I would just end on the note that like what I like call for from the Latino community is empathy and education. I think that's at the root of what Pride is about, Pride Month. A lot of this conversation for me was about humanizing the experience. And yeah, it's very, very simple concepts to understand, and the more we talk about it, the easier it gets to like live freely,
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. I am going to ask though, what would you like to tell future generations of the LGBTQ community? Is there a message you want to put out there? I know you just said, what Pride means to you, but is there like a message you want to, put out there?
Yeah, I think again, the empathy thing, we all like, it's easy for us to like personally live our truths, but even within the community, there's a lot of discrimination and misunderstanding and dark energy. And I think it's just about that. Like, we're all here living our personal truths, and it's something very easy to understand once you see the other person as a human living their lives, and that it's a very personal experience and none of your business, and that it can all be so beautiful.
Yes.
Right.
That is something that affects all of us, like I'm a lawyer, I told you, and like my rights as a queer woman are very directly related legally to the rights of an immigrant, a woman, people of color. We all have experienced being othered, and it's a very traumatic experience. And so to re-inflict it, redirect it to someone else, like, is so unnecessary.
Right.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. It's your personal truth, and like you said, that who's this? No one can tell you what you can and cannot be, who you want to be, who you can be with, and I don't know about you guys, but I think now the gates are starting to open within the Latinx, the Latino community, with somewhat accepting, we're finally kind of reaching a point of acceptance and understanding and educating family members, friends, about the LGBTQ LGBTQ community. And I feel like I don't know if you guys see it, like I know I see it on TikToks and social media. There was I want to say she identified herself as she, and she goes, my dad was so supportive, and I want to say they were Mexican also. She was Mexican American, and she goes, my dad is so supportive, and he waved the flag, the LGBTQ flag, outside of their house, and he goes, I don't care, and he's waving it outside the house, and I'm just like, it's so great to see that again. This person, she educated her parents. She told her parents her personal truth, how she feels, who she is, how she identifies herself. And they, continue to love her because at the end of the day, that's their child, So I just, we're starting somewhere.
Emotional.
Starting somewhere. Yeah, it was.
That got me so emotional.
I cried watching the video because I was like, so okay, we're starting somewhere.
Yeah.
It may not always be like that, but we're starting somewhere. So yes.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good point. Because I came here today and I wanted to talk about history and my experience, but I also do want to communicate that it's not always traumatic and dark and full of all of this fight. There are a lot of Latino families that get it and have been supportive and have shown love. And so not always the case, but it is possible. I think showing again to youth in the future, in our community, it is possible to be happy and successful and loved while being gay. Very feasible. And our community is changing, and educating your parents is possible, and they can still love you after that. For sure.
Okay, so what would you say would be the most challenging thing that you've had to experience being a queer woman in the Latinx community? Follow-up question, what would be the most positive
or gratifying
thing that you've experienced?
Yeah.
Okay. I love that question. That's the challenge, our parents. Let's talk about it, because I think something that's very particular to Latinos and people of color is that we have a connection to our family and our ancestors that people who are white don't necessarily value the same way. I care about what my family thinks of me. I care about what I do in the name of my family. Whether or not that's all toxic, it's a truth of our culture.
Yeah.
Coming out as gay or non-binary or as someone who doesn't shave, when I tell you me not shaving, it's so funny that you brought that up, because I literally think my mom took that harder than anything. The fact that I don't shave my armpits, literally coming out as gay is very difficult because you feel like you put that very important connection on the line. And it's very hard to feel like you're going to lose that very important connection. For me, I've come out to a lot of family, but I still haven't come out to my parents.
Okay.
Not because I'm not ready or anything, it's just very complicated. And I think they know. And if tomorrow they're like, let's talk about it, I'll talk about it, whatever. But I do have conversations around gayness and queerness with my parents all the time. I'm definitely grooming them.
Okay.
And I think it's a radical experience, and I'm deciding to just lean into that. To be happy with yourself is to choose that over everything. I've had to risk the bond over simple things, just as being a woman. Just as being a woman who wanted to be independent, as a woman that didn't want to shave, as a woman who wanted to go out by myself all night. I've had to fight that connection my whole life. But yeah, there is a lot to lose, and I think that's the hardest part. You leave yourself vulnerable, for sure. The best part, boy. Oh, it's everything. It's like, don't get me started. Like, it's definitely worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, even in your personal, like alone in your room, even if you don't come out, the experience of just living without obligation, just living as yourself, even if you aren't gay, letting go of those like little gender constructs that you don't want to fuck with anymore, is so liberating and so beautiful. Period. Like,
oh, I love that.
Fun. It's fun. It is so fun.
Because, you know, this is gonna sound so bad, but like, because at that point you've already have nothing to lose at that point. You know what I mean? Like you're already like, this is gonna go to shit. This is gonna, it's fine, whatever. So I can now allow myself to be freely, fully 1,000% me. Because now I have nothing else to lose. So it's just like full force.
It's so unhinged. It's so great. And like, also very specifically, right? I'm a lesbian. To be with another woman. Again, for me in real life, that top bottom like shit doesn't exist. Like, to be with another woman where we see each other in a way that's, and we live with each other in a way that's just equal and without rules, it's like so special and so worth it. Like, it's so cool. Yeah, that's my 2 cents on lesbianism. But yeah. Anyway, cool question. Thank you.
We love how real this episode is. But I think we're gonna close it out, and I'm just gonna do a proper like.
I actually like was so nervous coming on here because I was like, they don't know I know everything about them. Like, I know your whole life. Like, I've been a
I love
silent
that
fan for so long, but yeah.
I love that.
Go ahead.
No awkwardness here. We just know each other. Chantal, we want to thank you for being on the show and giving us your time. We appreciate it greatly. We cannot thank you enough, really. You are such a beautiful soul, is what I want to say.
Stop.
Yes. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Podcast right now. No, stop. Thank you so much too, you guys, like, for having me. It was a great talk, for real. Like, it was so cool. I love this. Is the best podcast ever.
You heard it here first, everybody.
So, Amanda, how did you feel after the interview? Was that your first interview?
I had to do a research paper for grad school, and I had to do a couple of interviews there, but they were not verbal. So I guess this was the first one. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Like doing one via Zoom and actually asking questions.
Well, you guys did a really good job.
Thank you. I think we were all a little nervous, but it came out so well. And just like Liana and I learned so many interesting facts and about, a little bit about the history that Chantal will discuss, her TV recommendations, TV shows that she recommended, the books. She also recommended, one of them in particular was Finding Latinx by Paola Ramos. Like, that's a book that I really want to read after the wedding. Who knows? Maybe I'll pick that up and read it on my flight on our way to our honeymoon. I'll finally have some leisurely reading time. So, but other than that, like, it was so great to have that interview. And, we want to make sure that we discuss like the important things concerning LGBTQ, for Pride Month. So yeah, had a great time with Chantal. It was wonderful. And I could tell Liana too. She was like really into the interview.
I'm excited to read La Frontera. That sounded like a really good book. So I'm going to try to pick that up. I'm almost done with the book that I'm currently reading, and I'm excited to get started on something new. Maybe I'll have it when we go in 2 weeks. That'll be my plain reading. Well, I hope you guys really enjoyed this interview. We would love to hear y'all's feedback. And of course, you'll be able to find Chantal on our Instagram page because she is now officially a friend of the pod. And I know she's so excited about that. Chantal, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much, Chantal.
And Amanda, before we go, what is making you glow this week?
I think it's going to be an easygoing week at work. So I am looking forward to just like having a chill week and maybe catching up on some other work. And actually, so I haven't mentioned this before on the podcast, but a few weeks back, I kind of sprained my ankle and it's finally like, I got cleared basically to do my high intensity workout, like my boxing workout. So I'm so excited. So I'm going to start this week because I could tell my physical therapist was like, it's okay. You're looking good. Go ahead, go for it. Just do a couple of modifications, but I'm clearing you to go work out. So I'm excited because I was just going to the gym and just doing machine work and I don't like that.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot you and Constantine started going to the gym.
Yeah, I don't.
Do you not like it?
It's all right. I'll go just to get, say that I went to the gym, but I need motivation. So I like going to my classes.
That's fair.
Looking forward
to that. Are y'all still going at the end of the day?
Yeah. So we plan to go tomorrow at the end of the day.
Very nice. What's your go-to gym song?
Right now, it's just Bad Bunny.
All Bad Bunny.
All Bad Bunny. Just like Un Verano Sin Ti, just the whole album. I can't stop listening to it. And also, I like Drake's new album. Just saying that.
Yeah.
I know.
I do not. One of our friends actually in the group chat was like, what are you talking about? It's the best album he's ever made. And I'm sorry. Like, we're really going to sit here and act like Take Care doesn't exist. That is.
Oh, no. Take Care will always be the best. Oh, my God. That nothing beats Take Care. But
no,
I do like this album. So
my brother and I were actually talking about this. So we're very like on the album, me and him. But he was saying that maybe if this album had come out like after Thank Me Later, that people would like it a lot better because it almost seems like a continuation of the album, or like the vibes are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
But I can see why people are not like fans of it. Like I could see it. I understand because the minute I started hearing the album, I was like, oh, I can already see it happening. I know. I already knew it. Yeah, but I like it. So yeah.
I gotta say, I think my favorite songs off of Take Care, or maybe my favorite song, maybe Make Me Proud.
Yes.
Love Shot for Me, Love Headlines. Like Take Care, honestly, will always be like, that's my Drake. Take Care, Drake.
Oh yes. That album was freaking fantastic. That was Chef's Kiss. Like I love that album. No wrong there in that album.
No, nothing. But you know what? Take Care is what's making me glow this week. Definitely like an in your bag type of album.
Oh yeah.
But whether I'm in my bag or not in my bag, I can listen to the album day and night. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you guys, don't forget, for 3 more weeks, you can find us every Wednesday, wherever you listen to podcasts, and on YouTube. Amanda, where can the people find us?
You guys can find us on Instagram at Glowing Up Latina. Continue to like our posts, our stories, and then you can share with us how you're glowing this week by sending us an email at glowinguplatina@gmail.com.
And we will be back after we put out these next 3 episodes. We're just going to take a little bit of a break because, of course, Amanda's getting married and it's really coming down to the end before we all have a really good time at her wedding in September. And also, you guys, it's summer. So, of course, we're summer girls. We love summer. So
we thrive. This is when we thrive, guys.
So until next week, keep glowing, mija.